Welcome back. It's now time for us to get up close and personal on K24's Alpha Jiri. If you're just joining us, a good morning to you. By the way, keep those texts coming in at K24 TV. You can get us on Twitter, you can get us on Facebook, on Instagram, same handle across the board. And every single Monday, we make sure we motivate you, shake you out of your comfort zone, and make you go out there and whatever dream you have, go and try it out. See what happens. Dare yourself to be bigger than what you are right now. And that's the discussion we're having today. This time around, we're talking about personal branding. We have a personal branding consultant whose first journey was actually to become an aeronautical engineer. How that went from up in the sky to, on the ground is a story we're going to be discussing right here, and how he got into the space and what actually personal branding consulting is really all about. Sherastine Mengo, karibu sana.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
And like you were even saying before we went on,
yes.
My friend, you were supposed to be at either Wilson, JKIA, at an airport somewhere.
Yes.
That should have been your area.
Yes.
What led you to actually, first of all, wanting to be an aeronautical engineer?
My dad was, as any Kenyan father, he comes with a Daily Nation every day at home. So from around class 6 and 7, I saw this paper that had and it was a college in Eldoret actually that used to advertise, and it's funny that I didn't join it. But they used to have an ad on I think the 3rd page of the Nation, the Daily Nation, and on the courses listed, one of the courses listed was a diploma in aeronautical engineering. So I asked my dad, what is this aeronautical engineering? My dad says this one is for aircraft technicians. I said, well, I think I want to do this because I had never had the feeling of becoming a pilot, but I said, well, I can find out how aircraft works and be a part of that. So I follow this dream from primary school. I get to high school where, the way people used to choose subjects in Form 2. So I have to ask, for me to be an aircraft technician, what subjects should I choose? Then there's physics, there's math, there's geography. Math, of course, is... And not very much, but because of what I wanted to achieve, I had to do it. I took them. Then after KCSE, so now I have to find a college that teaches or that offers the course. I stayed out 2 years. The time I joined, there was only diploma being offered. There was no degree, but right now I think there's degree. So the one that is there is the one I join. I fight with calculus for 3 years, math and aerodynamics, everything. I finished in 3 years. Now after finishing, you now want to go to the field. Something now inside me is fighting. There is an internal conflict. Is this something you really want to do? And as I told you before we got on, good engineers, they love things more than they love people. Or they are good with things more than they are with people. But for me, I was the opposite. I was good with people than I was with things. I loved people more than I loved things. So I said, well, what can I do that will position me to work with people and to be the best I can be? That is how I started positioning myself in positions of sales, marketing, and I realized I was not that bad after all.
Did you ever practice as an aeronautical engineer?
Never, I did. I never did.
You never went to an aircraft at any of the airports?
I only interned, or I did an attachment at the tower of JKIA, but I never really got to practice.
That was about it?
That was about it, and it's funny that everything else seemed to work the other direction, and I just followed it. Yes.
So where did you go with your papers for aeronautical engineering? Where did you go now to get a job in a totally different space?
Well, I decided that the papers are good. The course is heavy. When you mention that course, people think you're that guy. But I realized that I want to do something I love. I want to do something that I would wake up at night and feel like, let me go and learn something new. Let me work on this. That when I am out here working, I am happy. I wanted to be happy. I wanted to do something I love. When you do something you love, you give everything you have. Sometimes I tend to think that when you do something you love, you could easily do it for free. Yeah, so that was the... But the paper is there. I've kept it very safely, but I'm not sure I will use it anytime soon.
But as you are finishing your internship and going into these other fields, were you thinking about personal branding, consulting, or you are just looking for something different?
That one actually it grew out of the path was not straight. It actually came out it's close to 2 years now, 2 years ago. But I have been in positions of sales. I have been in positions of marketing in my experience. Now, while I'm looking at all this, I'm asking myself that there is so many salespeople out here. There is so many people claiming to do marketing. Then I came to branding. I said, now these are things that are coming out as I am working, as I am facing challenges, as I am talking to people. Some things are slowly coming to the surface. Then one day, in a job I was at Trevor Kenya. I worked for Trevor Kenya. I was a marketing coordinator. One of our distributors, I know she knows herself when I say it, she will know it's her. She gave me a book. I don't know why she gave me that book, but she was sharing it amongst some guys. We were in a team. She shared the book. The book was called Brand Called You. That is the book that changed my life. That is the book that changed my direction. The book now, it put together everything I had learned and took me to a direction. I said, well, I have not heard so many people talk about personal branding. I have had corporate branding, I have had consumer branding, I have had all this, but I have not met or had anyone campaign for personal branding. Then I said, I want to be that guy. I want to be the guy that defends the segment. I want to be the guy that grows the segment. Then when I came out is when I realized, oh, there are some people who do it. I knew there were image consultants, but there wasn't anyone who had embodied. Image consultancy is good and it's part of personal branding, but but personal branding is really huge. Right. So when I read that book, it spurred me into looking for more content. I went online, I googled videos, I googled books, I read and read and read. Then I said, however much I read, until I am out in the market, right, working with real people, solving real problems, it's not much. Right. Yes.
So at that particular point, you're still employed as a marketing coordinator.
Yes.
You've read this book and you feel like this is what you've been looking for.
Yes.
But the only way you get this is to leave this job and get into that particular space.
Yes.
So what happened there? Because now what you're leaving essentially is the safety of employment, so to speak.
I don't leave very quickly. I stay. After then I find another position that seems to be a little better. It was a short contract, but I go into it. It was a challenge. When I go into it, the position exposed me to actually a higher level of executives in the corporates, because I was looking for sponsorship for an event. Right. So of course I would have to meet decision makers. Then I realized the way I appear as I go to them is really defining how they treat me, right, or even if they give me an opportunity to discuss whatever it is that has taken me there. Now this starts confirming very quickly what I have been reading, what I have been studying. Now I say, after this contract, it's time for me now to go out. So the day the contract ends, I meet my first 10 clients in 3 days. My first prospects, let me call them prospects. And none of them buys. So I'm like, so guys don't really need this or what? Now I remembered that if I am to grow the segment, it is my job to also educate. I cannot just think that I'll go out, sell, and people buy. Right. I have to educate. They have to understand the value of what it is I'm doing. And I have to say that some of them later, they trusted me, they gave me a shot, and that's how I started.
So even as you're educating them, for somebody who's had, because that phrase has been used now for quite a while, it's an in thing.
Yes.
You're a brand, your personal brand.
Yes.
What is that? This thing that everybody throws.
Well, as we, anywhere you are, whoever you are, you already have a brand. If today I walked in and left, everyone would have a certain opinion of me. Right. That's my brand. Now, you now, when we talk personal branding, you now have to be intentional about what people know about you. Right. You decide what people know about you. I'm sure you have come across, or maybe if you haven't, I'll let you know, if you've come across the biography of Benjamin Franklin. Believe me, we know Benjamin Franklin according to the way he wrote his bio. He was intentional about how he wants to be known. That's why he wrote his autobiography. And other biographers have come and tried to bring stories, but the one that has been used and people know is his autobiography. He was intentional. Napoleon of France. Bonaparte. His story is very interesting. He used to go to war. Of course, he was a very good military general, and he did not wait for the papers in Paris, or Paris, I don't know what they call it, but for the papers back in France, he didn't wait for them to report. At the time, the Instagram of their time was paintings. So he would do very nice paintings, and he would direct the way those paintings were done. He would decide who the characters of the paintings would be. He would decide the captions of the paintings. And this is what he sends back to France. So now the story of Napoleon is being told through his paintings. That is intentional branding. He decides what you will know about him. It's the same for us. How do you want to be known? You want to be intentional about it. What do you believe in? What are your values? This is what people connect with. Because I say, for example, politicians, the people that will vote for you are the people that believe in your values. The people that hold the same beliefs as you. Even in business, people don't do business with you unless they like you. Or at least they trust you. And all these are dependent on who you are as a person, which is your brand really. Yes.
So when you're going in and telling somebody, okay, fine, I'm a personal branding consultant, I'm here to work on you because you're the brand. What is it exactly that you will do to Jeff or Carol or whoever who's your client at the time?
So now Jeff, so when I meet you, the first thing is for me to understand you. I also have to understand your own perspective of you. Who do you think you are? What is your perspective of you? But now after that, you have to tell me your values. What are these things you believe in? What makes you? Because who you are is what you believe. Because what you believe is what decides what you do, what you don't do. So who is Jeff? What do you believe in? What are your values? What are those things you can die for? What are those things you want? How do you want to be known? I have, of course, I have a guide. I have a personal branding guide that I send my clients that they fill. It has many questions, including the ones I've mentioned.
And in fact, what we'll do at this particular point, because I know there are very many people who are watching, I'd like you to do this process together. Because as you can hear, he's talking about what you need to look at. So even as you're at home, just look at the points that he's giving out. Tick them on your box and ask yourself the same questions. What's the perception you have of yourself at that particular point in time? When you leave the room, what do you think people are going to be saying about you? Because those are the same things that if you are to meet Mr. Sherastine on a one-on-one, those are the exact same things he'd be asking. So let's go through this process together as you unpack the brand that is essentially you. So Sherastine, where do you go to next after them assessing themselves?
When they assess themselves, I also assess them, because there are things that I see about them. Also, it has to do with what you do as a person. How you want to be known. Actually, how you want to be known is much more important. How you want to be known is going to define the events you will go to, the people you will associate with, and the things that, and the places you will be around. Because you can't brand yourself as a bishop and you hang around bars. It's going to be difficult. And it is going to determine so much about how you brand yourself. When you want to change the direction of your brand, there are a few things you do. I'll give you the example of a very horrendous gentleman. I don't know if there's anything like that, called Hitler. Hitler never looked the way he looked. When he met his what I would call his personal branding consultant, the first thing he told him is that you have to create a look. This is the Lenin era of Lenin of Russia. Lenin of Russia is known for his bald head and beard. He tells Hitler, you have to create a look. So what does Hitler do? He does his haircut, his famous haircut. And he decides that his mustache is not going to touch the end of his lips. If you see a Hitler picture today, do you need to be told who Hitler is? No. That
mustache is iconic.
Yes. Think of Charlie Chaplin. He had his look. So you also have to create a look that separates you from everyone. In essence, branding is differentiation. We are trying to differentiate you from everyone else. You're in a three-piece today. If you're in a room where there is people with two-piece, you stand out.
Right.
You see?
Right.
Now, these are things you do to differentiate yourself. Your look has to change.
Right.
And again, I was discussing with someone just before I came on. He asked, what about dressing and branding? I said, dressing is important in branding because it is, people judge you the way they see you. Before they even give you an opportunity to articulate your value, they do, and it's human nature.
Right.
In less than a minute, people are able to know whether they can talk to you or not.
We judge the book by the cover.
That is humanity. That is human nature. It's
Right.
human nature. You can't change it. That is the way it is, and the best way is to see how you handle it as quickly as you can.
Right.
So if you dress well, then people are able to give you an opportunity to speak. Dressing well does not mean being in a suit every day. It's not every place you will be in a suit. You can't be in a suit on a golf course.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So you have to know what event it is or what occasion it is and how to dress for it.
Right.
But even if you do it, I urge people to be extra. Be extra. The extra is what differentiates you.
Right.
Be extra.
Right.
Yes.
And let's do a mock.
Yes.
And role play this particular
Yes,
scenario.
yes.
You've walked into the office because Jeff Mote is in dire need
Yes.
of personal branding consultancy. Let's go through the demos.
So
How it works.
I will assume I have already sent Jeff the guide.
Right.
He has filled it. I have been able to see who he is, what he wants to be, or who he wants to be known as.
Right.
I understand his values. I understand his actually understand him because
Right.
I also have to get into Jeff's head and think like him.
Right.
So now, the thing is, I have to look at also at our social media. What
Right.
is it you post?
Uh-huh,
Is it in alignment to what you want to be? If it's not, we have to find a way of aligning it to what it wants to be.
Right.
Do you have a personal website? If you don't, you need a personal website. Everyone needs, that is, it's called online real estate.
Right.
You have to claim your online real estate. www.jeffmote.com.
Right.
What does it look like? Does it represent who you are or who you want to be? Okay. If it's not there, I help you. We work on creating one. The other thing is value. What value will you be providing the marketplace? That is key.
Right.
And I have to understand that and help you to create a content plan of what you will give to the marketplace. Are you writing articles? Are you doing videos? Are you doing, what kind of posts are you doing?
Right.
Now, once I understand who you are, what you want to do, we have to align your content to that. Who is your audience?
Right.
Who is listening to you? Who is the message directed to? So these are some of the things we go through on the first meeting after you've filled the guide. Then afterwards is execution.
Right.
I would, if there are people who have teams in their office, they have maybe they have assistants. So I have to ensure that I work with them closely to see what they are posting on your social media.
Right.
Is it agreeing to what you want to do? Again, you want to be careful in as much as the question of political correctness is so big right now. So you don't want your content to offend as much, and at the same time you want to speak your mind. I also help you to strike that balance.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And because some people might hear the word people who have assistants in there and feel like, okay, fine, Sherastine is not for me. I barely have, maybe I'm the assistant to someone.
Yes.
So how do I get him to work on my personal brand?
Well, there are people who are able to do it themselves, and I have no problem with that. Only that I would say I would not be ashamed to say I have a target market. I have people I target.
Right.
And most of them have assistants. But there are people I work with who do it themselves. Like I've worked with real estate agents, I have worked with consultants who I only advise and they go and do it themselves.
Right, right.
Of course with my guidance. But I have two systems also I work with. I have a done for you system and I have a do-it-yourself system.
Right.
I just advise you, you go do it yourself.
Right.
And there are those done for you. There are those where I also have a virtual team that I work with.
Right.
There are occasions where I have to use my team for people who don't have such assistants.
Right.
Or for people who feel like they can do it themselves, of course I have a system for them.
And with
Yes.
all of this, if you're a consultant, you're in business. And if
Yes.
you're in business, there's costs involved.
True.
How does the pricing for personal branding consultancy work?
Thank you for mentioning one of my biggest challenges I had when I was starting. And it was difficult to value my work. I would go to a client and talk and say, this is what I channel, like, hey, what do you want to do with all this money? You're so young. Sometimes some would feel like I was overcharging them. In some instances I've charged and I've felt like I have undercharged. But I of course, with studies and research and talking to people in, maybe I would say in other economies who have done this, they have helped to guide me. But but of course you have to match it with your market.
Right.
So I just understood the systems that different people are using, and then I came and matched it with our market here. Yes.
But of course, like you said, for this particular product that you're offering, there's a particular target market you're also catering to.
Yes. Yeah, well, it's the same product really, but at the end of the day, you want to help a particular kind of people because of the value they give you. You understand? Now, for particular clients, I have packages for them. I have packages for every set of clients that I have. But not to say I'm a Kenyan. We say tutaongea. You understand? Hatuwezi kosana. So that happens. Actually, that happens a lot because of the thing I don't like is to meet someone. This person will pour out their dreams. Some of them will feel like they have met the person they have wanted to meet, and then I kill their dreams in the name of price. That's an internal fight I am having. Okay. Yes, but these are challenges I'm working on, but I try to be of value as much as I can. Okay,
fantastic stuff. And let's add value right here on the Alpha Jiri show. Yes. Because of time, we'll have to be real quick. But you have a director. He's called Father. Yes. He's very harsh, very brutal to the crew here. Yes. And I think when I spoke to him just before you came on, he wants to now change his brand to be a bit more loving, a bit more fatherly to the crew. Yes. How do you advise him? What did you tell him to do?
Or he already has a brand, first of all. Yes, he has the brand of
he's actually behind all of these cameras. He's there, so watch where you're going with this as well.
He has that brand of a brutal person. Yes. But what I'm sure of is that he's not brutal in a bad way. He's just trying to get results. Right. And some of the people that have gotten the best results are the so-called brutal. And what he's trying to work on, some of that comes with age, by the way. You become a bit more mellow with age. But he cannot change his brand instant. It's a process. The brand of brutality, as you call it, has been created over a long time. Right. But this can change by the way he starts treating them. It can only change in action. He has to start treating them nicely, and then with time, they will talk about it. Because if they talk about him being harsh, they will also talk about, he seems to have changed. Right. Now the brand is getting a change. Right. He has to do it in action.
Okay. Yes. It's all about actions right there. Yes. As you wind up, Sherastine, where can someone get you, probably, like you said, on your online real estate?
Yes.
Where can they find you?
Yes, SherastineMengo.com is my website. You can go to my LinkedIn, Sherastine Mengo. I don't think there are many Sherastine Mengos in this one. I think I'm the only one.
I haven't met
another Sherastine. Type in Sherastine Mengo on Google, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, LinkedIn, you will find me. Okay, yes. Fantastic stuff. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks for sharing your story. Thank you.
And of course, all the best in the personal branding consultancy.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Asante sana. Thank you. And of course, I think our director is also thanking you, because I think from now on, his brand of brutality is going to be mellowed.
Yes, ask him to have a conversation with me later.
Okay, I think you'll do that actually on this particular break. So there you've had it. Father, our director. Over to Sherastine, of course. That has been Up Close and Personal with Sherastine Mengo, a personal branding consultant, saying that it's all about the actions that you do that eventually change your brand in whichever direction you want it to go. That has been our guest today as we got Up Close and Personal. Now we take a short break, and it's all about body contouring. You've probably seen it online, people doing it in the West, in Europe, in America. They're bringing it home and why it's really needed for you as well. That discussion after